Welcome to episode 1 of the WrestlePurists podcast. I'm joined by the poetic Scotland Underwood and the Joseph Albert, Late Night Green and Fightful fame. We're here to review AEW Dynamite and talk about all the recent happenings in wrestling lately. I was going to go through the AEW Dynamite bit by bit, do it in order, but it would feel a bit weird to do it when they've just announced news as big as they did. So it's probably best to start with AEW, New Japan, Supershow, Forbidden Door happening on Sunday. Is it Sunday? Sunday, the 26th of June in Chicago at the United Center, which is already pretty much a famous AEW venue because probably one of the greatest nights in their history happened there. So, yeah, man, what are your guys' immediate thoughts when you seen it announced? Of course, it was already, expected. But now that we've got the news official, what are the kind of matchups you'd be looking forward to? And, what's your immediate reaction?
Go ahead. Yeah, man. I was going to say, I think immediate reaction is just like, it's kind of surreal. Because it's like, because we've been in a pandemic for so long, we kind of think like, you knew it was coming, you just didn't know when it was coming. And the fact that it's not 6 months away, it's not a year away, it's literally, 2 months?
Yeah, it's coming up quick.
Yeah, that's quick, man.
For something that big.
Yeah, man. And then, like I said, like, in a way, like, I'm jealous because I'm like, man, why does Chicago get everything amazing? You know what I mean? They get Punk, they get this. So, nah, man, it's a major move.
Definitely.
Couple things here, Montel. I'm the veteran here. You know that, right?
Go
Just couple things. You did the double feed there. Double feed. Scotland. No, we were stuck. One of us had to go. Difficult. The other thing.
Here we go.
The other thing. I don't know if you've checked the wrestling calendar. It's actually Impact Wrestling pay-per-view week, Montel. So please, priorities in terms of news stories. But nonetheless. I'm sure that's tomorrow's show.
Can't wait, bro.
Yeah, it'll be great. Nonetheless, yeah, I mean, I'm on board with most of it. I think this is one of those deals where I am, and I don't want to be a pessimist because I'm very optimistic about it, but I am waiting to see the lineup.
Yes.
Because I do fear the conversation if it looks like I think it might. Now in my heart, I think they're going to go for it. I think they're going to do like an all-star card.
Same.
But I think we can all agree there is an outcome where like they don't necessarily go a full all-star with it and people get a little bit mad. We'll see. I think the main word though that's got to is surreal. I think this is going to, the atmosphere live is going to be incredible for this too. Big building like that. And like, if you get a match like Punk Okada, could you imagine what that's going to be like in the building?
Atmosphere will be just
in Chicago too.
Bro. Yeah, in Chicago too. Jesus. Yeah, I think Joe alluded to it. So we need to see if they'll go full throttle with it, basically, because a lot of fans got their hopes up, especially over in in the UK and United States as well. A lot of fans got really excited for the Noah New Japan collaboration show, and that just ended up pretty much being tag matches. Granted, those tag matches were great, but as a card, looking at it, it wasn't, people wanted Nakajima versus Okada and those sort of matches, and we didn't get them. So AEW and New Japan could definitely do that sort of thing as well, and it would pop a lot of people, and the matches would be great, But at the same time, I think a lot of us want it to just be full throttle. We want, we want the Okada Punk, we want the Tana Mox, which is obviously happening anyway. But those sort of level of matches, that's what we want, man.
I think the smart thing though is to not put too much in this one show, because I'm factoring in things like a month later you got, or like a month or two later you got the G1. I know for a fact there's going to be an AEW representative. Hopefully it's Bryan Danielson as the representative, right?
We need it.
So the thing I would do with this show is, you have the undercard tag team matches and maybe 3 big matches that you can do. right?
Yeah.
So the match I want the rematch. I want Mox and Toriano. I need that. That's the match I want.
Gotta get it back.
Mox is scared. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now the real question is, does Kenny Omega come into play?
I don't think he does. I was going to get to this later. But some people aren't the biggest Dave guy like myself. But Meltzer on the Observer Radio earlier literally said the last he heard, it's not looking very promising. He'll be back in time for May. Then he did speculate. Well, he kind of pitched a fantasy booking idea of Kenny Omega coming out at the end of the pay-per-view and confronting Okada or something like that. So he did say he won't be back from May. He didn't state that he wouldn't be back for the June pay-per-view, but my guess right now is that it doesn't seem that likely. He was banged up, man.
Yeah,
he was
banged up. And look, I think, and this is a different conversation for another day, but I think, we're going to veer off into these. Like, when it's all said and done and we're all old fucks talking about Kenny Omega, like, that title run will be a big thing we point to as, like, that was legacy defining for that guy.
Real world champion, a real one, an actual, not one of these phonies.
And when they tell the story, because we only know pieces of it, right? But it sure seems like when Hangman had to go home and tend to much more important things, and they delayed the title loss, like Kenny had to just hang on, man. Like, he just had to just give him another 3 title defenses or whatever.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Because those Christian matches were nuts. It's easy to forget how hard those. The pay-per-view match, they did a table spot, and Christian had that big cut on the side of his. I mean, it's a huge thing for his career. I don't think any of us wanted to rush, right? I think that's the key. Like, if there's one thing AEW's got, they've got enough depth to survive without Kenny Omega. It's a bummer, but they don't need anyone. That's the beauty of that roster. Yeah,
definitely. When it comes to Kenny Omega, I'll probably be a lot more open about this subject because I can't get quote tweeted and dunked on it. But I am worried about Kenny Omega and how he looks when he comes back. Obviously, I'm a big Kenny Omega fan, especially if he's in ring work. And because he's at such a high level, especially even in this recent run, it's like, people don't talk about the differences that he's had to his physique. If you take like a 2017 Kenny Omega and put him next to the one that was on that world title reign, completely different physiques, man.
Yeah.
You could tell the injuries are obviously building up, and one of the things that makes Kenny Omega so special is his explosivity and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But he's great at putting matches together. He's great at storytelling and all those other things. But a V trigger wouldn't be a V trigger without his unique explosivity. So obviously with the list of injuries that he had recently, because it just felt like things just kept getting added to it. So it was like his shoulder. I think it was his shoulder, his back. Then he had vertigo, and it was just like
the thing is, though,
it's crazy, man.
The one thing I would say, and I completely get your concern, but he doesn't, at this point in his career, he's not wrestling from zero. Like, he has such an aura that he can kind of pick his spots. Now, that when I say that sounds like I'm being critical, but like, if you watch the Arthur Ashe match, okay, they have a fabulous match. I mean, it's 2 of the greatest wrestlers ever having an incredible match, and it's a great build, and it's great. But like, the place is rocking before they do anything, because that's what you build up for your career. So I think you're right. He's an explosive guy, and it's different without that for sure. And like, I think you can actually, if you look at them side by side, even just like move wise, you can see Kenny kind of slowly wearing down. It's just the way it works. But he has such an aura now, man. The audience sees him as that guy.
I think I could see him going a technical route going forward. You know what I mean? Like, he's not necessarily, he'll have like the moments of explosiveness, but I think like the days of what we saw with the world title reign, I don't think we're going to see when he comes back. Personally, I would be okay if Kenny just took the year off. You know what I mean? Like, took the year off, get himself healthy, re-energized. If they now have this partnership with New Japan, have him pop up at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let his body just heal, get refreshed, come back. And I feel like we'll see, similar to what we saw when he had the neck injury, and then he came back and he just had a whole different style. I think that's what we'll see out of Kenny.
Yeah, and I think it's time for, and I've been consistent on this, and I get why there's pushback because he's a great heel, but like, I think it's time to let people cheer Kenny Omega. You know, that audience loves him. You can tell the story that we literally just alluded to about how much he put himself through as world champion. It's like, I think you position him. The comparison I've made before was, you know, like in the mid 2000s, the way they used Shawn, and it was like at WrestleMania time, you knew they were going to position him for an epic. I think you can do that with Kenny as a babyface, like legend almost. You know, I mean, I don't know. Kenny's not old; he's late 30s, right? He's still got But like, imagine if his pay-per-view matches are Kenny Omega versus CM Punk, Kenny Omega, Danielson 2. You know, like the kind of Clash of the Titans matches, those epic matches. I think the people would be into that. The thing that's really interesting is you look at like the Bucks and Kenny, right? And it's like, well, last year they both had those runs where they were the anchors of the TV show. I don't think we're ever going to see either of those acts do that again. And it's kind of weird to think about, right? Like, obviously, the Young Bucks have got time left. I know they kind of reference maybe retiring earlier than people expect, but like, we're going to look back on 2021 as like kind of the last stand in that sense for the elite guys. And that's weird to think about because like they are the promotion, you know, it's just weird to see it evolve that way.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
It's a weird dynamic to see how it's shifted over the past 2 years, even if. Because like you said, it was the elite, man. Well, that was AEW. Then the other parts were extra. Then obviously, once you get Punk, Danielson, you know, then you put Danielson and Mox together. And you throw William Regal in. Do you know what I mean? Then you've got Wardlow. And the way they've done we talked about this a lot yesterday with Wardlow. So I won't drag it on, but
no good.
Wardlow, like the way that they've built Wardlow, they're in a position now where you can't scale that back. Yeah, you can't do that now. So and like I said, like we were saying yesterday as well, it's a hard thing. Every Wardlow segment has the crowd on their feet. They're up for him. He's over.
Well,
it's hard to follow. Even for AEW, it's hard to follow.
We saw it last night, and I know we're going to do a Dynamite review, but Kyle and Jungle Boy, they couldn't get him back. They were exhausted. They saw Wardlow, you know, and it's just the roster is loaded. I am intrigued, and this is just a quick thing, and it's something we can kind of get into over time as we do more of these. But like, do you enjoy the television balance now of Dynamite more than when it was clearly built around the heel elite faction? Because when they were the champions, they were definitely more of a centerpiece than as an act. I mean, you know. Do you think it was better or worse? What do you think?
Sometimes I feel like Dynamite, they struggle with the format of the way that the show goes. Like, I feel like they want to get so much in, so it's just like boom, 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 boom. I do kind of miss the pandemic era of the Dynamite, where like you said, like there was a focal point. You had your side stories, but you knew what the centerpiece of the episode was going to be. And I feel like they're getting better at it with the structure, but it's still like they need to slow down and actually tell a story throughout the episode. Yeah,
so like, for me, I'd say I prefer the principles of the structure they had back at the time what Scotland was talking about, where it was kind of you had a ongoing thread throughout a show or something like that. And there was a centerpiece storyline, like this episode of Dynamite was about this. Do you know what I mean? But in terms of content, I prefer it now because
the roster.
The roster as well. Then like the whole elite heel stuff. You know, as much as I love the Bucks and Kenny in the ring, it's just that overly corny heel. I get what they're doing, and they're turning into what the haters or whatever it is say they are. Do you know what I mean? And just turning that up to 500. But for me, like I said, even though I got what they were doing, and I can recognize some of it's good, it just wasn't my.
No, I get it. I mean, look, I don't mean this to demean Tony Khan, the booker, because I think he's actually shown progress this year in certain, like the MJF Wardlow angle is really well done. You know, the Wheeler Yuta thing is really well done. Now, look, we'll never know how much of that's talent, how much of that is Tony, but I think it's impressive. But at the end of the day, you are dealing with a roster where you can line up that show last night and you can slide in 1 minute pre-tapes featuring Samoa Joe and Eddie Kingston as just like also on the show. That's nuts, man. Like we haven't had that in American wrestling since WCW was riding high. That depth is crazy. Like you can't.
Craziness.
Like it's funny because like I always crack up at Excalibur's like when he runs through Rampage from next week. Like
last night was legendary.
That man deserves a raise, but like when you speak of the depth, like we're about to see next week the first ever match between Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler, and like it was just like, oh yeah, this is happening next week.
It's insane the way they just dropped it on us. I didn't see it at first, bro, and I was watching because I was trying to do the results and notes at the same time, but I don't include the match announcements because of things like this when Excalibur fly through like 10 in 60 seconds. I can't fit all that in while I'm trying to do it live and trying to multitask. So I missed that actual announcement because I must have been updating the note. And Joe messaged me like that announcement was crazy. I was like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "That's his wrestling Cash," and I thought he was doing a bit.
They had a couple ones last night. There was the one when Kyle won and they flashed the graphic of him and Joe, and then the announcers went, "They're not wrestling. This is not the bracket. They're just in the tournament." It was like Tony on the headset. It was like, "Who put that thing together?" And the next the one that was really funny was when they got tired of Sammy's segment and just hit his music, and Sammy was like, "Ladder match." No, man. But the thing that's weird is the way it's paced would make you think they have no time, but like. They didn't need Kyle O'Reilly Jungle Boy to go 13 minutes. No. That's what fascinates me about the way they lay it out. Like, I understand you don't want to do 4-minute matches. You're not Raw. I get that's their principle. But, like, I think they could have gone 7 or 8 and been okay. I don't think they needed 13 minutes out there.
Like, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was going to say, if you were going to give, like, that allotted amount of time, I would have gave it to Punk and Dustin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they went a decent amount of time, but, like you said, like the crowd, by the time we got to Jungle Boy and Kyle, they just were drained. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it was just a weird pacing that they did that.
Yeah, I don't know. O'Reilly's in a weird place on that roster, Like he's because it's like he's doing a retread basically, right? Like him and Bobby with Adam Cole again, and it's like I think we all agree Kyle O'Reilly's a great wrestler, but he hasn't yet felt at home on Dynamite. That's a strange criticism. I don't think all of it's his fault by any means. It's just there's so many guys coming in, and along the way we got Kyle O'Reilly, and it's like he's great, but it hasn't quite clicked yet. It'll be interesting how he does in the ON if he goes very far, and it'll be interesting to see.
I think we'll definitely get an indication of where he's actually at because, like you said, he's had a bit of a weird one. It's hard to see, especially with him being in the tag team and being in a prominent tag team. But these guys are singles wrestlers as well, and with the Omin. How far he goes in, who he may or may not be, may be a pretty good indication of who, where they see O'Reilly at this moment. Yeah. So we did mention Punk Road, so we might as well just jump straight into the. I say straight in. We've been live for nearly 20 minutes.
Yeah. It's gonna happen a lot.
We should probably start this Dynamite review at some point. So yeah, CM Punk versus Dustin Rhodes, a match that obviously got me fired up. From the announcement, in my opinion, it wasn't the prettiest. It was never going to be.
Yeah.
But it was not flashy. It weren't pretty, but it was two great professional wrestlers telling a story and just having a match, and it was just good pro wrestling. I thought. What do you think?
If I could just say, like, and I think I've said this on my other podcast, but. Out of all the Rhodes, Dustin is the best. Like Dustin, as a wrestler, like Dustin got it figured out. And I think the order he's gotten with that seasoned vet in him, like I think he's one of those like he knows exactly how to keep a crowd engaged. And then you got at a guy like Punk, who's already got the crowd in the palm of his hand. I'm happy it wasn't the prettiest match. I didn't want no scientific match. I want an ugly match. You know what I mean? I wanted an ugly match.
Yeah.
I'm
just. This is going to sound like one of the nerdiest things I've ever said on a podcast, but just bear with me. I think you guys know where I'm going. like there needs to be a case study about what it is we love about pro wrestling. Because if you look at Dustin and how much he gets out of so little, it is fascinating. Like he at one point last night did the deal where he did the 10 punches in the corner. He dropped from the middle rope and took a bump because he was selling his knee. And I pumped my fist and was like, yes, professional wrestling. Like, it's really interesting when you contrast him with a guy like Sammy Guevara who does 101 moves. It's like, look, I'm not doing the moves versus psychology debate. I like all wrestling, but it is interesting, right? Like Dustin,
definitely.
He wins every time the match ends, the audience is firmly on his side. So much so. Last night he hit that pole driver, they did a near fall with Punk. And the place like booed because they're like,
oh, the shit out of me, bro.
It was like, we want Dustin to win, you know? Like, it's interesting, man. Like, the word psychology is thrown around so much and it's so cheap the way we all do it, right? Like, oh, he's got great psychology. What does that mean? I don't know, but I think it's worth studying what Dustin Rhodes does because that dude gets an awful lot out of like a punch exchange. Like, he's a master, a genius.
He really is. Then obviously, after the match, they shook hands. Well, before the match, they shook hands. After the match, they shook hands again. A lot of mutual respect between the two of them. You know, they embraced each other. Punk was making his way up the ramp. And who do we see? Obviously, none other than Mr. Cowboy Shit, Mr. Hangman Adam Page. And it's about time that they interacted. Don't you think?
Yeah.
That the two men had a stare down. You know, Punk looked at the belt. Slowly walked away. Hangman lifted his title. The crowd popped. It was simple stuff, but it's just good to see them finally, you know. Punk's obviously been teasing at it, doing the signals around his waist and all that sort of stuff lately. You know, of course, he hasn't been thrown into any other feuds after MJF. You know, it seems like obviously that was the way they were going. So it's good to know that, you know, that is what they're doing. It's confirmed, pretty much. So, yeah, man. What are your thoughts on that whole story? Basically?
I'm intrigued by how they do it on TV. I don't know your take on this, Scotland, but they've got 5 weeks, right? 4 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
We need a segment each week. We could, and they can be as simple as training montages. I pitched last night a JR sit down with him in between them, like kind of WrestleMania 17 style. But I don't know. My big thing is this is going to be a really interesting case study of how they build this because I think we all want this to feel like the biggest match in AEW history.
Yeah.
And it has a chance, right?
Yeah. So the thing I love about this match is I genuinely don't know who's going to walk out the winner. And I feel like that's an aspect of, as a wrestling fan, especially when you're older, that kind of diminishes because you're like, oh, I can see such and such winning. I don't know who's going to win this match. And if they're going to do a segment every week, like, obviously, Punk has to be the heel in this situation. Like, I want to see, like, Punk, like, not go back to, like, the whole, like, I'm straight edge, I'm better than you, but, like, you could bring up the drinking that Hangman does, you know what I mean? Like, I want to see I want to see that side of Punk that we saw glimpses of, but we haven't seen it yet in AEW.
Yeah, it's really interesting. See, I've said this elsewhere, but we're getting into this here because this is, you know, a new platform, right? It's a big deal. WrestlePurists.com. We're kind of setting the stage here. This next month, this is going to be a big topic, and I think we're going to waver a lot. And I've said this a lot. I do not think, as of right now, there's a right or wrong answer in terms of who wins this match. And I know people don't believe me when I say that, but I really don't. Like, what interests me is like the way you tell the story. Because I agree with you that Punk needs to play the heel. The only way I wouldn't have Punk play the heel is if he was turning heel at the pay-per-view. Because if you're doing that, he needs to be a pure babyface for this next 4 weeks, right? You need him to be like all about respect. I just want to win the big one last time. You know, Hangman's a great champion, and then he screws him. If you're doing that story, but I agree with you. If Hangman's winning and you're moving on, Punk needs to do what he did last night against Dustin and just kind of lean heel. He did it against Eddie Kingston. I don't think he'll have any problem doing it, but it's going to be so interesting to see how it unfolds. You know, I'm really excited to just see the big fight feel when they get in the ring there at Team O. It's going to be electric, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, man.
See, Ash is being a hater in the chat.
Yeah,
as usual.
I respect that.
Nothing,
I respect that a
lot. Nothing new here. Nothing new at all.
The Adam Cole conversations will be interesting on this show, you know, because we have to be very careful.
It's you know, he's pretty divisive. it feels like it's something that's happened pretty recently as well. You know, obviously there's been people who have never been too much into Adam Cole, but I feel like over the past couple of months, you know, people have really like I said, he's become really divisive. Some people are either one side or the other with him, which means of course I would find myself in the middle. He's, you know, he's a good wrestler, man.
He's a good hand.
Oh dear.
Adam Cole he's the new Bobby Eaton.
Yeah.
The next
Bobby deserves better. That's what I'm going to say. No, you know what? Honestly, I'm going to save the slander. Apparently, this match with Ishii is great. So
yeah, I've heard the same.
So I'm not going to say shit. The Adam Cole stuff has veered into being a bit now. I think he's real good. He's real over. Do I want him to be the world heavyweight champion for AEW? Absolutely not. But that says more about the roster than him. You know what I mean? Like it isn't no big deal. Now what I will say is, and it has immediately been said in the chat, there was once pushback when I said that Roderick Strong was the best worker in that faction. They were running over there on the NXT. Dude,
yeah, I've seen it on the timeline. I've seen it on the timeline. I think it was our friend Manny.
Yes.
He said something like, the group chat I'm in trying to rank the Undisputed Era guys.
Yeah.
And they were trying to debate like who was better, Roddy or Kyle. And like I like Kyle.
It's a disgrace.
I like Kyle. I do. I think he's a nice little wrestler, man. Nice
little wrestler.
he's good, man. I do like me some Kyle O'Reilly, but you see Roddy Strong, I feel like, especially with you, Joe, people don't really take it that serious when people say he's one of the best in-ring guys of the past 20 years. Because he is, man. I'm telling you, he's in the top 15 at least.
People do not realize how deep his match catalog is and how just good he is. Like, he's a killer, man. And look, whenever I say this, people push back on the promo stuff. I would never argue that. You know, he's not a good promo. He is bland. But inside those ropes, he is electric. Like, he's incredible. And he's explosive in a way that you just can't, you know. Like, if it was him versus Jungle Boy last night, the pit would have made some noise, I'm telling you. Because he would have done backbreaking until they started cheering, you know.
So look at this. Bill's Mafia just being unnecessarily aggressive in the chat.
Lash out about Rod
O'Reilly as a character was better than Adam.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like
I don't know.
Cole for real.
I like when Cole's comfortable. The difference is like astonishing. But when he's trying to act, that's where I have some problems. Yeah, you can't get mad at bad acting in professional wrestling. So I
encourage it. I love it.
Yeah.
The worse the acting is, the better to me.
I think it depends how like serious it's being played, you know, because I don't know if Cole's aware that he's bad at it, which is limiting. If you go for it, if you do Tony Khan last night when Jay White's music hit and he did this thing, like he was. I could fuck with that.
Yeah. Right. So the next thing on Dynamite was Wardlow arrived at the arena in a segment that did pop me quite a lot. I thought Mark Sterling was great in it, the way he delivered his lines, etc., etc. Wardlow rolling his eyes. It was just simple stuff, man. Simple stuff. Like we said many times with this Wardlow stuff. Simple pro wrestling. It's working. He's over. He looks great in every segment.
I think by the time next year rolls around, Wardlow will be the biggest star AEW has.
Ooh, that's brave.
That's a good take. I like that.
It's a good radio. Look, man, pro wrestling, people complicate pro wrestling, right? So, like, I grew up in an era where, like I said, it was the big jacked up guys that were holding all the titles. I love that. That's the type of era of wrestling I love. I want to see that come back to today's standard, and Wardlow's the perfect person. Like, even so much, bro, I think that he might, because obviously this is a play off the Batista leaving Evolution storyline, right? I think Wardlow could be even bigger than what Batista was.
My God.
Yeah, man.
I don't know where I'm at on this anymore. I'm with you. All the evidence suggests you're right. He's over huge, and everything we see of him in ring it does not suggest he's going to be a fish out of the water when the time comes, right? It feels like he's ready to go. I'm really interested what that crowd does when he's like in main event matches, you know? And I've said this before. I do not know what it'll actually look like. He may beat a guy in 8 minutes in the pay-per-view main event and the place doesn't care because they love him so much. That could happen. But right now, because it's such a new company, and it is still new, we're 3 years in, it's like we haven't seen a top guy like Wardlow in AEW yet, right? Like,
no, nothing close to it.
People can say, like, oh, well, Jericho wasn't an in-ring guy necessarily as AEW champion. It's different, right? Like, Wardlow is that Batista archetype you just mentioned. And I'm just fascinated by it. I think he's absolutely doing great. So I hope you're right. I kind of want to see it play out. You know, I'm going to let it play out. We're going to do it a lot on this channel.
I guess my only concern is that whole, like, how long before you pull the trigger on Wardlow?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like, if I'm looking at, all right, so we're about to do Hangman and Punk, right? Obviously, I feel like the winner of that match will meet MJF at All Out. So then that's MJF's crowning match. But now that's what, 3-4 months in?
Yeah.
You want MJF to have a long reign. So when does Wardlow get his opportunity at a world title? Do you do it next year? Is that too long?
I mean,
yeah,
that's tough, man.
It's because he needs to transition into an actual main event player instead of being just over like one.
Yeah.
So we need to be able to see what he's doing in the ring. Can you put him in a 15-minute match, or is it just going to be the 8-minute annihilations for pop the crowd?
We'll find out the pay-per-view, right? Him and MJF are going to go. They're going to go some time. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. And then
what if they don't?
Well, then
what if they don't?
I can go fuck myself.
With the way they've built this. With the way they've built this too, like when Wardlow finally gets his hands on MJF, so what if he just powerbombs the shit out of him?
I would pop. I think it would rule, but I think we all agree they're not going to do that, right? It's just, you know, MJF's a tippy top guy for them, man. I think they're going to get like 15 to 20. Whether that's
shenanigans.
Yeah,
a lot of them.
You got spears out there, right? You can do different stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So, where was I? Next thing in the show was the Blackpool Combat Club defeated the Young Lions of AEW. Brock Anderson, Dante Martin, and Lee Moriarty. This. I know it had Daniel Bryan. No, Jesus. I know it had Bryan Danielson, John Moxley, Regal on commentary, but even still, this didn't have any right to be this good. I didn't think it was
so well produced.
It was perfect for what that was. It was perfect. Yeah.
Regal is godly.
I've been on a 3-day bender with Arn Anderson.
Dude, that act is so awesome, man. That may be like the closest to like fantasy booking simulator that Tony Khan has come, right? Regal managing Moxley and Danielson, he's just like throwing Yuta in there. And Yuta's like the most over guy now. The place goes nuts for him.
Has he got new music, or am I tripping?
Yeah, dude.
He's got new music.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay.
I'm not going to comment on the music and all the rest. I'm just going to say, yes, he's got new music. There was a great moment. Joe mentions it in the chat when, in the ad break, Excalibur said that Regal, he was observing, almost like a wrestling observer. And Regal, he shot that down swift, let me tell you. He's like, no, not really. Anyway, back to the match.
Shot it down quick. Yeah, so obviously, I feel like Lee Moriarty, they were beating the shit out of Brock Anderson, man. Then Lee Moriarty got the hot tag, got the hometown pop, got a bit of shine. You know, he had a slapping exchange with Danielson, which popped me. But do we think we'll see Moriarty in the Blackpool Combat Club eventually? Not soon, but eventually.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it as much as like I love the concept of like Moriarty, Garcia linking up with them. Like I also like to keep like Moriarty doesn't fit that style of the Blackpool Combat Club. Like
right.
I think if anything, keep Moriarty, like to me, like I think this should be the last interaction he should have with them. Build Moriarty up with like what they're doing with Jay Lethal and everything like that,
Yes.
and then maybe sometime later in the year revisit it. You know what I mean? And then you can play in the indie wars he's had with Yuta, stuff like that. Now that's the match I want to see. Yuta, Moriarty, just maybe 20 minutes straight.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Well, you mentioned it, and a lot of people have missed it, but it isn't a coincidence. He's saved Gresham twice, and then Joe has saved the both of them. Now, granted, Joe waits until Lee gets the shit kicked out of him first. But, takes some time for Joe, but he does it. He comes out. And I think that trio as baby faces may be, and this is purely guesswork, I think they may be a centerpiece of the Ring of Honor product. Because what you have there is the past, the present, and Moriarty is a guy that if Ring of Honor was in the same place it was in 2005 now, he would have been one of the top guys, right? That's just he's perfect for that crowd. So I think you may see them as a babyface kind of alliance, not like a faction, but kind of the protectors of the Ring of Honor identity. And what makes it interesting is if they are kind of a trio of sorts, it'd be real interesting if they came head to head with the Blackpool Combat Club, because Regal and Joe have got all sorts of history, and there's a lot you could do promo-wise. That stuff's interesting to me. Now, again, I don't want this to be a faction. I don't think that fits for Joe's whole vibe anyway, but like them being the top baby faces for Ring of Honor would be kind of awesome, I think. Especially if Lee still works AEW, and it's interesting. There's definitely a reason they've done that with Lethal. They've had him out there both times. So we'll see. It'll be interesting.
Definitely. I think this may be a controversial take about the match, but is it just me, or is Brock Anderson actually improving?
No, you're right. He's doing it.
He's getting there, man.
When you're 24 years old and you look like you're 47, I expect you to.
But enough about me.
I think Brock has the benefit of, like I said, like he's the son of Arn Anderson. Like I know he has people in his camp outside of AEW that's probably molded him. He seems like he knows like the basic fundamentals. So it's like not to compare him to like a Jade Cargill, but like for him being a rookie, the way he's picking it up, I can only see like maybe 1 year where he'll be progress at.
Yeah. I think the big thing, he needs a tag partner, right? Like long term, and I don't think Lee needs to be attached to him forever. Lee Johnson has, they need to find some sort of thing for him, because I agree with you, he's improving, but like, if we look big picture, what are we doing with Brock Anderson on this TV show? He needs to be in a team of some sort, right?
I've been popped to use by the chat because it's reminded me of yesterday. The matchup we didn't think was going to happen, I think now may be happening.
Oh no! Let me tell you something.
Yesterday we did a stream, me and Joe did, and on the Late Night Green, and we didn't think they were going that way. Maybe a trios match, but after last night, I think we're getting. I think we may be getting Samoa Joe versus Satnam Singh in a match.
All I can say
I will give 4 stars.
Congratulations to Samoa Joe for getting paid as much as he must be getting paid to agree to this stuff. I think it's great. Love the man. Happy for him. That is going to be a spectacle, because Joe is in he's deep in, man. He's deep in the ball game over there. It's going to be interesting what he brings out of old Satnam Singh, but I'm sure he can figure it out. He worked a lot of young guys on those Largo NXT shows. Like, there's some stories of those NXT main events with No Way Jose.
Classics.
He'll look after himself. He'll be okay. Classics. There you go.
It'll be a spectacle.
See,
it'll be something.
This is the type of wrestling I'm here for. Like, I'm gonna let everybody know. Like, when I was a kid, my favorite match was The Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez. You know what I mean?
How does that happen?
I was popping when it was Taker and Great Khali. Omos is probably my favorite wrestler right now. Like, this is the type of carry on I want to see.
We should do a single pod where we all just talk about Bob Lashley versus Omos, and we treat it like it was Omega Okada, and we break it down. you could do like screen caps of it, and at this point, look at the psychology here as Bob hits the ropes. We all love that match,
Yeah. Go into a 5-minute dialogue of how Lashley fired himself up after he hit the suplex. That was incredible stuff, man. Okay, so next on Dynamite was backstage with the Undisputed Elite, and it was basically Kyle O'Reilly telling them off. You know, they were saying like, you know, we've been losing lately. We need to get back on track. I'm gonna win tonight when I beat Jungle Boy, and I'm gonna qualify for the Owen. Adam Cole kind of amplified that. Said to the Young Bucks that, you know, all your other friends have gone.
Yeah.
We're still here. Let's get it together, sort of thing. Young Bucks kind of looked unsure throughout the whole thing. What do you think they actually, like, how do you think they're going to get, eventually they of course are going to split up, but how do you think they're actually going to get there?
Kenny's the big X factor, man. I don't. That line about all your friends have gone is like throwing up the bat signal for Kenny. But we just all agree we don't think he's back, you know, for a while. So I'll say this: whether it's Kenny, Jay White, whatever they're going to do, they need to do something, man. Because I think this presentation is not doing anyone any good. That's just me. I could be completely off base. The crowd still loves Adam Cole. I just think this act is kind of like, it just feels lame, you know. Maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe I'm supposed to think they're lame. I don't know, man.
The energy of it definitely died quick. Like once you saw like, oh my god, it's the Undisputed Era in AEW, like this is awesome. And then like 2 weeks later, it's like, all right, it's kind of lame. Like it's kind of boring. And like you said, like the factor in this is Kenny. Like obviously the end goal is to get to Kenny versus Adam Cole. Not knowing when Kenny comes back, it kind of that's what I'm talking about. If you're doing Kenny and Adam Cole, like if there's no time frame with Kenny coming back, like you kind of got to drag this out as long as you possibly can.
I don't think it's helping them.
It doesn't light any fire with me, you know. But you know, they're all great wrestlers, so I'm sure they'll figure it out. So the next thing in the show was the Satnam Singh Samoa Joe video package, which we kind of already just glossed over. So after that was a Tony Khan announcement. You know, he introduces Obari, the New Japan owner, and as he's about to make the announcement, Adam Cole appears on the screen, cuts him off, and he makes the announcement instead. Then he introduces Jay White, who comes out, cuts a promo, and AEW, New Japan, Supershow, Forbidden Door, June 26th, Chicago, United Center. What a time to be alive, brother.
Yeah, we talked about the concept, right? But I do have to say, the execution of this was hilarious. If that's what they were going for, big thumbs up. Loved it. Loved that Adam Cole delivered the announcement like he was doing a cameo. Very funny. Just tremendous execution, you know. I thought they were setting up the same because when the way that Jay was talking, it was like there was going to be another surprise, and then Jay was like, "Anyway, see you there." Just walked off.
It was it was interesting.
Yeah,
I think it's best to just leave it as that. It was interesting stuff, but you know, we got the announcement that we all hoped for. Well, I'll say all of us. There was a little bit of a discourse on Twitter on the day. But for me, I think for us three in here, we're all for it. Fuck the casual fans.
I'm not here to bury anyone on your wonderful platform, but like, if you're not interested in it, I don't get why it affects you negatively. You know? It's like it's just going to be a separate pay-per-view. I don't know why people have to throw their toys out the pram. Like I'm not even. And here's the thing, I'm not even like so into New Japan product right now that I'm like really fired up. It's just a cool deal. I'm going to watch it. But if you don't want to, it's like, I just think this desperation for everyone to get mad about everything. You know, we don't have to do a podcast about the discourse, but it's too much, you know?
Like I was actively looking up flights from where I'm at to Chicago, man. Like, and like I said, I'm like you, like I'm not watching New Japan actively like that, but it'd be like, to me, it'd be absolutely mind-boggling if you don't have this interest. This is I think people are underestimating. This is a big deal.
Oh yeah.
Like, this is a massive super show. This is not like some and I mean no disrespect to pro wrestling Noah, but like this is not New Japan and Noah. Like people know this is exactly what that Madison Square Garden show was supposed to be.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like eyes are going to be definitely gravitated towards that day.
Yeah, and people also, it's worth remembering, like, this has been a thing people have wanted for 3 years. Because when AEW got underway, they didn't have this relationship. That was a whole conversation. And now you've added guys like CM Punk and Bryan Danielson to the roster. People want to see the match. It's really a cut and dry situation. It's going to be cool. People are going to be more interested than others, but why it has to turn into this like sort of warfare about the casual? It's like, I don't know, man. Like, just let it be, But whatever.
Yeah. I think that pretty much sums it up, to be honest. The next thing was something that popped me huge was backstage with Jade Cargill, Red Velvet, Kiera Hogan. Those three women got some chemistry, man. They have got some on-screen chemistry, visually and genuinely with what to say. Popped me huge. I hope it's something that we get a lot of. Especially with it getting Hogan on TV as well. I think Hogan's pretty decent, man. And
she's good, yeah. She's good.
She's been, we've never got the all elite graphic or anything, and I think she's on a part-time deal, tiered deal, whatever they're called. But still, like she's solid, man, and she had a lot of hype. She had a lot of hype and impact at one point. So let's get some use out of these women because they're charismatic. They can do this thing, man. They can be TV stars, all three of them, especially in a group together with Jade at the forefront of it.
Yeah.
Because everyone agrees, Jade's got some serious star potential. She's already realizing quite a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, I'm all for this. I'm all in on this.
I think the breakout star is going to be Red Velvet. You know what I mean? Like to me, like I feel like you already look at Jade, you see the money in Jade. We've already seen what Hogan can do, but like Red Velvet, there's something about like when a babyface starts showing like the heel elements and like they get to be them, like they get to be like a more amplified version of themselves. I think, and both times that they've all been on the screen, to me, Red Velvet's just popping out a lot more. Like I'm seeing more charisma out of her than what we had previously seen.
Yeah, I agree. I think the big thing for me is I hope they do the work and kind of give us some connective tissue on the faction's kind of existence. Because obviously Red had been one of Jade's main rivals, right? So I hope now there's a segment coming up later with Scorpio where they did this. Too often they just let you assume this stuff. Tell them, do a pre-tape of Red Velvet where she explains why she's now. I agree with you both that they look, it's an incredible act and there is chemistry there. But I just hope they do that little kind of middle, the bridge there to make it make sense. And I think it'll be even better. But yeah, I think it has a lot of potential as an act for sure.
So the actual target of this segment was to cut a promo on Marina Shafir. Yeah. And Jade Cargill versus Marina Shafir is a match that we'll take it from here, Joe.
I've heard it's good. No, I'll spoil it, really. I've heard it's good.
Oh, okay.
Oh dear, Monty looks unsure of what I've heard. Yeah.
No, I don't know. I've been told a couple of things.
I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with a heel, star power of Jade.
I hope it is good.
Yeah. Well, here's what you could do.
I want to see Jade kill it every time because obviously she is new. So when people get onto her, it's like, come on.
Look, let's be clear. On paper, putting a heel like Jade opposite a heel shooter who's not doing any character work in Marina Shafir is a choice. Yeah, but definitely. It might be good because honestly, it's such a weird choice that I feel like there has to be a reason for it. They must have something in mind for this match. That may age badly what I just said, but you get what I mean, right? Like booking this match is insane. They have to have some sort of idea of what it looks like. So hopefully it's good. I've heard decent things, so we'll see.
Fingers crossed, man. Like I said, I always want to see Jade kill it because, you want her to live up to her, the pedestal that we all put her on. So
I personally, I would have done Sheeta for this 30th match. Nothing against Marina Shafir. Is just like Joe was saying, like this came out of nowhere. And now you're trying to build this up to like this is supposed to be like a big deal. And then, like, obviously, Jade's gonna win, right? At least if you put like somebody like Sheeta in there, you have the possibility of like, would they have Sheeta beat Jade so quick?
I know nothing of this situation, but it sure feels like there was another plan here, doesn't it?
I feel like
it feels like there
it
was
was a
something
Athena.
planned. Yeah, I do too.
I feel like it was Athena, and they've just gone with someone who they can create a presence around, and that's kind of what they've gone for with Shafir. Like,
that's
stay away from Shafir, like, and it's just kind of like,
and Paul. Okay. I feel for Marina's someone who's getting a bad rap because people, the way they're producing her is she's basically been told to be like a cyborg, right? The whole point is she doesn't show any emotion, and like, look, man, it's hard to get a reaction when you're doing nothing to get a reaction. Like, she's out there not, and I mean that as a criticism of the production, not her. Like, it's hard, She's out there not emoting. And
this is where UFC do a great job, I think. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
You know when you'll be watching a pay-per-view. Valentina Shevchenko's got a fight coming up, and she'll be just working out, man. Or just, I don't know, if you're trying to build a character like this, just have Shafir just have her in the woods doing workouts, punching trees and shit. Do you know what I mean? Just over the top, I think running with meat sacks on her shoulders and stuff. Like, come on, let's do some real stuff instead of boring promos.
Maybe I'm being generous, but I think there's been actual real evidence she has improved quite a bit since she left WWE. So, like, I have no problem with Marina. I just think this current presentation, you can't expect it to get over, right? Like, it's going to die live. It just is what it is. It's not her fault. But, we'll see how this match goes.
Hopefully, like I said, it's not too bad. Next was Wardlow beating the Butcher.
Yeah.
Big men doing what big men needed to do.
Yeah, there was a little bit of heat in there. There was a little bit of sprinkled heat in there. But yeah, man, it was a nice little tight match. No, I ain't really got any major complaints or any major praises about it, to be honest.
It was well produced. It did what it needed to. The Butcher, as my pal, the Oracle of Wrestling, pointed out, the Butcher kicked out 3.1, which is absolutely hilarious. That was a real thing he did. I rewatched it. He actually did that. Big fan. Big thumbs up. It was a hit for sure. I think this was good. Another positive step for the Wardlow story. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, it was. Well, there's not too much to say about it. You got anything to add, Scotland?
No, man. I'm loving what they're doing. Like, I love the whole like coming out in handcuffs type. You know what I mean? Like, it was a podcast I was listening to earlier. Like, alluded to the for like older fans when Kevin Nash used to powerbomb people and he would get arrested. And he used to like walk in. He would get arrested and he would just start chanting Attica. Like, if you go back and watch those old night shows, like, people love Kevin Nash.
Struggling, yeah.
And I feel like you see the same thing with Wardlow. So I'm happy with what they're doing with him.
Yeah, breaking out a little bit there, good brother.
Yeah, breaking up a little bit.
You're
struggling.
Okay?
We made most of it out. You're breaking up.
Oh, okay, my bad. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you sound good. Seems like it's clearing up.
Yeah, your connection just hit a bit of a bump in the road, I think. Yeah. I think we're still here. I was worried about you.
My bad.
Worried. Okay, so next was the Eddie Kingston cuts a promo on the Jericho Appreciation Society, mainly Garcia and Jericho. Kingston promo, man. It's got a floor of like 8 out of 10. So
it's Eddie Kingston,
It's Eddie Kingston. He said,
I love this dynamic him and Garcia have, don't you? Of like, he makes a point of bringing an edge out of Garcia that isn't always there. You can tell it's in him, but I'll know the first time they did a pre-tape together on AEW TV. Do you remember that? Like, he kind of pointed out, he was like, you're a New York kid, and they got in each other's face, and it was like, it's fun. Eddie takes this as a challenge, man. He enjoys working with him, and I think, again, with the matches happen, right? So you've heard some stuff, but like, I love their last match on Rampage. They had a singles match in like November, a killer match that everyone's forgotten because it's Rampage and it was at 11 o'clock or whatever. But yeah, I'm excited for this. It's Eddie Kingston. Promo was good. Eddie's just a great presence on the TV show at this point. It is what it is.
Yeah, you're not going to get bad wrestling TV with Eddie Kingston unless you have him. Unless you do some crazy embarrassing shit with him or something. But if you just tell Eddie Kingston, here's a mic or here's a camera or here's a wrestling ring, you're gonna get some good shit. So that's Eddie Kingston for you. Next was from what I was seeing on the timeline, it was quite a match that split quite a few opinions. Jungle Boy versus Kyle O'Reilly, Owen Hart tournament qualifier match. Yesterday we said Jungle Boy was gonna lose Kyle O'Reilly.
Yeah.
People called us fucking idiots. And
You see what I'm going to do
shit.
about that? You know what I'm going to do? Have I told you yet what I'm going to do about that?
I think it's time for a victory lap.
I've got a whole plan, brother. I've made note of every name that said that Jungle Boy was going to win the match. I've listed them. I'm gonna read them out on the late night grin. Not here. This is far too good. But you saw it. There were some people were lashing out in the chat yesterday. It was too much. This match was exclusively booked to give Cole to show him some love from a booking perspective. Jungle Boy doesn't need to win because he's the tag team champ. You know. As for the match, I thought it was going to be way better. And it just didn't click. It happens sometimes, right? I'm not here to make a big deal of it. It wasn't terrible, but it was just
the work was fine.
Their chemistry felt off. Their chemistry.
Yes, they did. Yeah. I think also, and I know he struggles. So I hope O'Reilly as well. But he looked like a guy who hadn't wrestled a singles match in some time. You know, and he hasn't. So there's nothing wrong with that. But like, I think. I think they can have a much better match. I'll put it that way. And again, it wasn't terrible. It just kind of happened. It didn't have any zip to it. To me, it was a shame.
Yeah, it was. It just didn't connect with the crowd at all. Really,
No.
did it? Obviously, we alluded to it earlier in the show, but they were probably burnt out by this time.
Yeah.
Especially after Wardlow happenings and Punk versus Dustin. It was a weird one, and it's not even like I thought it was placed wrongly on the card. For what it was, it just didn't connect, man. It didn't have that. It didn't have the pop that some people hope for when they saw the graphic. And it's not like it sounds like we're being overly critical, but it wasn't a bad match at all. No, there was. It's hard to actually point out the actual flaws in the work that they did, but like I said, it just didn't have that extra pop and connection to the crowd.
It really was like a solid TV match. It's just like, to me personally, like I've never saw it as Kyle O'Reilly as a single. I've always seen him as like that tag team guy. So like when I see that Kyle O'Reilly's in a singles match, I'm like, this could go one of two ways. This could go either really amazing or this could be kind of boring. And like I said, when you put like a guy like Jungle Boy, there's just the chemistry just felt sluggish.
Mm-hmm. It was the time hurt them, I think, because it looked like they had a 10-minute match that they extended to a 13-minute runtime, and you could feel it. Like there's, Dustin and Cody went slow. Sorry, Dustin and Cody, Dustin and Punk went slow, but that's their thing. I don't want Jungle Boy wrestling that way. That they need to be out there hitting this, and I think it was just a slight miss. And again, you're right. It sounds like we're saying it was terrible. I think we all agree it was fine. It was fine. You said solid. I think that's the right word for it. It's just. I expected it to be better, and hopefully O'Reilly can kind of grow into the role as he's in the Owen here, so we'll see.
Hopefully. That's what I'm hoping for with O'Reilly, because like I said earlier, I do actually really like Cole. I might not put him on the same level as Roddy, but he's good. He's really good, man. So let's see what he's made of in this Owen, and hopefully he gets the opportunities to show it. So next up was backstage of MJF and Sean Spears. This is when they introduced Jake the Snake Roberts, who then gets abruptly interrupted by Lance Archer in one of the most fascinating minutes of television I've seen in a while. It goes back to the pacing thing we were talking about and how some things were stretched out, some things felt cut off. Because MJF cuts his promo, he introduces Jake the Snake, all seems well timed out. And Jake the Snake just, he thinks it's 1980, and he's doing his slow, methodical promo, and he's trying to get through it. And Lance Archer abruptly comes into frame, snatches the money or whatever it is that he does, smacks it out of his hand, and says he just wants to beat the shit out of Wardlow, but not in those many words, but pretty much. It was quite a fascinating thing to see. Obviously, it means that we're going to get Lance Archer versus Wardlow, big men hitting each other.
Yeah,
that's my kind of match. I think we'll get to see a bit longer of a match. It'll be longer than the Butcher match, I'd assume.
Yeah.
This will be a good indication of the things that we alluded to earlier when we said we'd like to see more of where Wardlow's at. I think this Archer match will be a pretty good test of that. Because it's not like he can go out there go back and forth a little bit, then just hit a bunch of power bombs. I think we're gonna need to see something here. So I hope they kill it, man, because I love Lance Archer. He pops me huge. One of my most favorite entrances in wrestling, especially when he was in New Japan. He would just storm to the ring, you know. There'd be no like showmanship about it. He'd just storm to the ring, you know, attack all the young lions around the ring, get in the ring, throw his bottle of water around. He was really a real loose cannon over in Japan. He still is now in AEW. It feels a little bit toned down a bit, don't you think?
A little bit.
Only slightly. Especially when we got promo segments like we did last night with him. Because that was wild. He looked unhinged.
Yeah.
He pops me huge, man. I hope him and Wardlow do put on some good stuff because Archer's good, man.
It sounds like a match would pop you two, Scotland. Am I right? Archer and Wardlow.
Absolutely. I told you, man, the bigger the man, the better the match gonna be.
The Jake part of this was bless Jake.
Jake, man. Yeah, I feel bad for Jake, man.
Yeah.
I feel like
he
Tony Khan yelled at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was clearly a good promo in here somewhere, but he couldn't quite pull it out, could he, unfortunately?
he tries, man. God bless. Yeah. So next we had Hook defeated Anthony Henry, and Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling in front row taking notes. Towards the end of the match, Danhausen attempted to curse Hook to no effect. After the match, Danhausen grabbed the mic and he was frustrated about Hook not being able to be cast.
Yeah.
He said if Hook can't be cast by Danhausen, he must fight Danhausen. Hook just walked away.
You don't sound too excited when you're reading this, man. I feel like you have an agenda.
I don't have agendas. I don't do this agenda stuff.
Sounds awful. Andy Danhausen to me. Have you heard about his merchandise sales? You piece of shit.
Listen, I've never. Here's my thing with Danhausen. Nobody has ever actually explained to me on AEW TV or in my DMs or on Twitter or on WhatsApp or anywhere what I'm supposed to get funny from this Danhausen stuff.
He's so funny, yeah.
I don't get it. I feel that's where a lot of my frustration comes from because I see people love it off, and I just don't get it. Like people say he's funny, but what does he do that's funny? Like point it out to me, please. Like, and that's not me genuinely saying like, oh, I don't find anything he does funny. Like, obviously, comedy is one of those things. It's extremely subjective, just like wrestling is what we're talking about now. But yo, he's like I said, if you could at least point to things that he's done, I could at least.
I was gonna say I could send you a video, but that's about all I can do. That's all I can do.
Because
the thing that cracks me up about like Danhausen in general is like you never hear anybody talk about his in-ring work because in ring he's actually pretty good. Like if you've watched his matches in Ring of Honor, solid hand. Yeah. He reminds me of Orange Cassidy. I didn't get Orange Cassidy.
Let's all calm down a minute.
Wow.
Okay. Orange Cassidy, don't do my boy Orange like that, man.
Yeah, that's tough.
I'm not even a big Orange Cassidy guy, but
nah.
Come on.
Can we talk about the fact that I regularly send you a picture of Danhausen just to frustrate you every day? Can we talk about that?
The worst thing about it is that it actually works.
Yeah,
that's the worst thing about it.
I just send a picture of Danhausen. The best one is the one with him and Punk together. Like, I'll be honest with you, I think you're accurate. I actually don't know what's funny about him at all. But I will say the crowd loves him. So that I struggle to hate stuff the crowd enjoys as much as they did this. When he got the mic, they came more
for it. I usually pop more when a crowd pops. Like, I pop for the crowd popping. Like, it's been a big reason why I've liked a lot of wrestlers in the past. But this is wrestle crap.
Look, man, this is your next AEW Tag Team Champions.
Oh, please. I just want him to get Hook away from Danhausen, man.
But when you taking your two internet memes and you combining them together, that's why the people love this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But don't get this twisted. They are definitely going to if they have the singles match, there's definitely a team that's going to follow after that.
I agree.
And there will be a tag team title run because they're not going to blow money like that.
I think you're definitely going to get. I thought he had kicked you, and he just took his hands, and I can't do this anymore. Oh well, I'm with you actually. I think it's actually I think it's a smart use of Hook. I've been consistent on this. Our pal Monty has regularly accused me of lying about this. I am not lying. I think it's pretty fun. I'm with you. Like Grifter.
Listen, Hook, yeah. You can actually do something with this kid. Like this is. I'm not gonna lash out. What's next?
Too late.
I'm not too late.
Way too late for that, pal. Check the merchandise.
I tried. Okay, so backstage with Frankie Kazarian, Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky. Frankie Kazarian's about to cut a promo. I didn't quite catch what was at the start. Then Scorpio Sky swiftly interrupts him, and he reminisces to Kazarian about the times in SCU, the successes both of them have had, etc., etc. And basically, the point of all this was to get Scorpio to ask Kazarian to, put his TNT title hopes on the back burner for the moment because Sky wants to challenge Sammy Guevara later tonight. So, yeah, I thought it was just a nice little, what was it, like really 30 seconds, and it just helps. It just gives us a bit of story, explain some things. Why is this like this? Come on.
Too often they don't do this stuff. So, and I really like the product, but too often they just would miss this and let you assume it. This did a really nice job of giving Scorpio a clear line to being a babyface. I thought it was really well done, and I thought he came across authentic and natural. I liked the chemistry was there, right? Because they are real friends. It felt like two friends talking to each other. I thought it was a really good call. I thought it was executed well. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it was. It was only 30 seconds, so not much to say about it. But I thought Sky was really good here in comparison to his when he's standing there with Dan Lambert and Ethan Page. It's like it feels so forced. Like this felt like a genuine interaction between two wrestlers. So I really liked Sky here as well, even though, like I said, he only said a few sentences, but I liked what he said. So yeah, next we got a Thunder Rosa thing, and this could be a whole subject for another day. This Thunder Rosa, the start to this Thunder Rosa title reign. They didn't do anything offensive here or anything, but it was a pretty basic Thunder Rosa video package of her, putting herself over as a fighting champion, etc., etc. She delivered a promo well. Nothing wrong with it. Obviously, it was just highlights and stuff of Thunder Rosa winning matches and stuff like that. And I think there was like a call out to Nyla Rose in this. She mentioned double or nothing.
I think the idea was she just put like a bow on the Nyla thing, and then was like, now double or nothing. I think she was going. I think that's what the idea was.
Hopefully, because who do you think Nyla will have next for her? What are we doing here?
Tony Storm, maybe.
What's the chat thing? If the chat wants to get involved and throw out some tape.
I think Tony's going to go far in the Owen, so I think she's off the ball. Right. I think Statlander could be in play because it appears that Stat is kind of a heel now.
Yeah, I don't. What's been going on with Statlander? Because first she was an alien, then she's back to living in New York.
Well, this is the TV present. We talk about this a lot, right? You do an angle with Chris Statlander and it goes off TV, and you need to keep that television presence up. The chat's saying, Deeb is a good call. Deeb beats Sheeta in challenges. That's a good call. My problem with Deeb beating Sheeta is it feels like Sheeta should win the blow after that feud, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've been feuding for 12 years. The babyface should probably get the win. But I think whatever it needs to be, and as you said, this could be a conversation for another day. But they need this to be a real program. Too often with the pay-per-views, the women they get put in that terrible spot of just being another match added.
I hope we get
change,
some actual angles, man.
Yeah.
You know, with AEW, they do them so well as well. But sometimes, like, they'll do these big in-ring angles. They do it a lot with CM Punk because obviously they know they can just throw him out there and he'll make magic.
Yeah.
But you know, you've got to give these opportunities to the women as well, especially women like Thunder Rosa, but the people are behind. It feels like the only woman who's really got that. It's like even Jade, man. Like Jade don't get these big, like highlight segments of the show. She gets a lot of backstage promos, and she'll always get a little match or a minute backstage or something. But she's not getting those big angles, like, you know, the Wardlow MJF contract situation, the elite situation, the whatever situation.
Right. It makes you wonder
the top angles.
Who is actually coming up with those angles. When you see an angle as well executed as Punk and MJF, when he like kind of got his trust and betrayed him, and they got the blood, and it was that incredible go home. Was that just the work of CM Punk? You know, and let me be clear what I'm saying there. That's a criticism of the booking, not the talent.
Yeah,
there are far
100%.
fewer women that have got the TV experience that a Chris Jericho or a CM Punk have got. That's not their fault. That's just the way it is. But it does make you wonder because you're right, and Scotland, you speak to it like. There's no big time angles. They just kind of do pre-tapes and they go there and wrestle once a week, you know?
And that's what I'm saying. Like for the women in general in AEW, like they have such an impressive roster in the women's division, but because of the formatting, like you could have easily cut 3 segments, those 30-minute, 1 minute or 30-second segments, and you could have done another women's segment, or like Double or Nothing comes out. Like, you'll have your AEW Women's Championship match. Jade might be on the card. But, like, that's kind of where they stop it at. Yeah. Like, I want to see exactly what you're saying. Like, I want to see more engaging storylines. I want to see the women actually get more promo time. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not even like it's a case like, oh, nobody's watching it. Like, there's some of the highest rated segments that they got. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like they come across like they have no faith in the women's division. And and like I said, a conversation for another day. I feel like the way the Thunder Rosa title reign is going is an indication like they really don't have interest in pushing the women's division like that.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You do nothing but pre-tapes the whole build. You send them out to have a match. The crowd doesn't react to it. And you go, look, the crowd doesn't care. Well, why? Why don't they care?
It's really frustrating as well because the people always say about WWE fans, like AEW fans have got their big share of bootlicking fans as well. And when stuff like that happens, it's like the fans also jump on it and like, see, she's no good. The crowd don't care. And it's like, bro, you don't understand why. Like,
Scotland said a minute ago, and I actually agree with you totally. You said the roster is strong. I agree with that.
It is.
But there is a trend now of pushing back on that front. The problem with that is there are actually free agents out there that could help. So even if Tony doesn't like the roster he has built himself, you just mentioned earlier, Montel, Athena's out there. Amir Yimi's out there. You know, and look, we can debate all. If you're telling me Athena's no good, then whatever, right? Like, at that point, I'm going to stop conversation.
Leave.
So he must be content with the roster because otherwise, they'd be signing in a different way. So I don't know. It's weird. Like, look at these Owen qualifiers, and then we're going to get to that in a minute. Like, what are these Owen qualifiers achieving on the women's front? We know the result of every single one of them. They're just matches for the sake of matches because they want to do their one. And it's just, there's no story. There's no meat on the bone. It's a shame.
That's one of my things that I'm worried about with the Owen. I don't want it to be. Okay, so a good example is when the G1 climax comes around in New Japan, it's G1 season. You're going to get different feeling shows. You're going to get all the, like, there's a different feel to it. It feels special. I don't want the Owen Hart tournament to just feel, when that's going on, I want it to feel different. I want the shows to feel different. I want the matches to feel different in the way they're presented. I don't want it to just feel like an episode of Dynamite and some of the graphics are different. And especially on the women's side, that is some of the worries that I'm getting from some of these matches because it feels like it's just the one women's match on the TV show that they do at the moment. And they're just dressing it up as an Owen Hart qualifier. When it comes to wrestling, I prefer the G1 style tournament compared to like a bracket
Right.
But even still, there's still different ways you can do this and give it a different feel. Not even necessarily like, it doesn't have to be better or anything, just different and obviously not offensive.
And the thing is, like, how easy they can do it too. So, like, me personally, what I would do is for the month that they're doing the tournament matches, turn AEW Dark or AEW Dark Elevation for just 1 month, turn that into where like all the Owen matches take place. Like, obviously, you want to get your ratings from TBS, but like I feel like it would be a completely different feel if it was like a YouTube exclusive solo highlights and dynamites. You know what I mean? So like I feel like it's an easy switch, but they're kind of just hum-hoing it.
Yeah, I've spoken about it elsewhere. You mentioned YouTube exclusive, and I completely understand why there will be pushback. I'm really intrigued by the women having their own show on YouTube. Yeah. Now the key would be, and I've said that I always make clear because this is important, you would not lessen their involvement on Dynamite and Rampage. That if you do that, it's pointless. You're just putting it away, right? But giving the opportunity to an AQA or I'm trying to think of women that we don't see enough on TV. There's a lot of them, but you get my even an Anna Jay at this point, right? We don't see her much on TV. Giving them a chance to do programs on their own show, I think would be huge for them performance. Because 3-minute matches on Dark can only do so much, Like you need to have real matches. You need to learn the art of storytelling. Some of the women don't need to, but like someone like AQA, she's so young. Julia Hart is a good example. They threw out on Dynamite. Julia Hart's like 19. It's tough.
I think the thing is, I think people, whether that be me or you two guys in here or any fans for that matter, like no matter how much you are into women's wrestling, if you do appreciate and respect it, you wanna see the women be given fair opportunities. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that they should throw Jade Cargill out there like CM Punk. I'm not saying that. We just want them to be given opportunities where it's not like Joe said, just pre-tape, cold match. I don't want to be seeing that, and it adds to. It's like this comment. I don't want any fans feeling like this. You know what I mean? Especially women about women's wrestling.
Well, that's a big
and
problem.
when things don't feel like they're actively being changed or worked on.
Yeah,
it's not nice to see because obviously we're friends with JSL as well. Like this shit bums her out, man. Like
she likes to show less than us because of this.
Yeah.
And that makes sense. Like, there's this weird thing where people want to push back on it, and it's like, no, it's a real thing. Like, it doesn't matter to you necessarily. You may be like, I don't care. Okay, fine. But
there is a lot of bad favors, but yeah.
Yes.
Sorry to cut you off. Carry on.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
No, I said carry on.
No, it's just like, I've said this, and you and I have talked about it privately, and I've said it a lot publicly. Like, you can't push back when someone tells you this issue that's been a thing now for the whole existence of the promotion is stopping them from enjoying the show. You can't just be like, yeah, but I don't care. Listen,
it's when they dismiss it, man. It's when they dismiss it. Like I seen something not that long ago, and it was after. I think it was one of the episodes shortly after the Thunder Rose and getting cut off by Nyla Rose incident. It was not long after that. So, because for that week of discourse, there was a lot of people coming at AEW for it. Which, a lot of it was fair, and there was a lot of bad faithers. But in one of the next episodes, AEW had there was 4 or 5 women's segments. They weren't long segments or anything. They weren't even good segments. I think other than one of them was a Ruby Soho match, if I remember correctly. So it was that episode. Ruby Soho had a match that went 6 minutes or something, but the rest of the segments, which was 4 or 5 segments, came to a total of 2 minutes 40 seconds. Yeah. And AEW fans were posting it, screenshots of the graphics of the segments, see,
does nothing for anyone.
Tony Khan does care about women's wrestling, and it's bro, take the boot out your mouth, man. What are we doing? Come on. You can't really say that AEW are doing a great job with the women. They've done a great job with Brit Baker.
Absolutely.
And but there's a lot left to be desired with the way they use the women.
And I'm kind of nervous too because I feel like that's going to trickle into the Ring of Honor women's division. Now that Tony Khan has I've seen the talks he's had talks with Maria Kanellis, which the work that Maria Kanellis was doing before, Ring of Honor folded, last year, she was doing phenomenal work. Like the women's matches on Wednesday, like she was building the division like strongly. Mm-hmm. I feel like they need something. They need to bring Maria Kanellis in for the Ring of Honor and for the AEW side. Yeah. Because like I said, clearly there's a miscommunication about what Tony Khan wants and what us fans, what we would want to see. Because like I said, eventually what's going to happen is you're going to start losing that demographic that actually cares about women's wrestling.
Yeah, I think it's happened. I really, and this all anecdotal, right? You talk to fans, and there is a big portion of fans that are tired of being told to just be patient with this women's division. They've had enough of it because they get talked to like they're idiots, and it's not.
It's grabbing the charger, wants it.
You good? It doesn't help anyone. I don't know. I'm with you completely. The thing about the Ring of Honor thing is there's this like people can downplay what Maria did, but you and I are both aware that division was in the grave, man. Like that was a hell of a job they did with that because before that, the women's the Ring of Honor it was terrible.
It was awful.
Yeah, and then go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I was there live when for the Super Card of Honor, so like they had the Willow Nightingale Mercedes Martinez match. And the crowd was rocking the entire time for that match. And to me, I'm like, you have people that want this, man. Like, you have people that want to see this. And I have no doubt that they can get there with AEW. But like you said, like, I'm tired of being told, like, oh, just be patient. Like, no, like, you've had 3 years. Like, I'm not waiting another 3 years for the women division to really be something.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. At some point, people just, you get tired of it. It's just a very natural response to being told that you're wrong about something over and over. It's like, no, man, you know what? I'll just stop watching. Let me be okay. I've been there,
It's not nice. It's not nice to see either. Like when it's like legitimate concerns that bums people out. And you just see people get shit on it for these genuine, non-bad faith takes. Because there is a lot of bad. I kind of can understand it in some aspects because there is a lot of bad faithers out there, and some people are just in that, mad defensive mode with any sort of criticism. And there is a lot of AEW fans like that, where you'll bring up a valid criticism, but because you're saying something bad, you just get labelled as an e-drone straight away, and it's dismissed. So
I'll be honest with you, and look, this could be completely wrong. Most of the bad faith takes that hit my timeline are because everyone feels the need to quote tweet it.
Yeah.
There are there are a couple people in this game, in this wrestling media space that are bad faith, but like, if you really need to tell me that they're bad faith, you've not been paying attention. Like, no one takes them seriously. They're clowns. But like, if you look at like at WWE fan 12 with the Roman Reigns profile picture that has 10 followers, like, bro, you don't need to put him on my timeline. That's where it's like, we talked about this. There was a show we did this week and we talked about it, the casual fan. Do you know we could actually have an interesting conversation about AEW's chase for that fan if it wasn't a topic completely ruined by the bad faith stuff? There's something interesting to it. I don't know the answers to how you get that next fan, how you grow the audience, how you get new fans. But we aren't allowed to talk about it because people have turned it into just like a battering ram for arguments, Oh, New Japan show, casual fan. It's a shame. And hopefully with this platform and the stuff we do, we can push back on that because we just had a conversation about the women's division, and I hope we did it justice the best we could. The idea that conversation shouldn't happen because 5 guys on Twitter use it as like a dunk, that's silly. We can have the conversation, you know what I mean? Like the bad faith thing, you're right. It's toxic because it gets rid of all criticism. It's a shame.
Yeah.
It's rough, man. Talking of rough, the next segment on the show was Sammy Guevara in-ring promo take on it.
Oh, Sammy Guevara is trash. just go to the next topic, bro.
No, we're gonna get into this. Okay, so the segment starts. Sammy's already in the ring. Yeah. He's with Tay, obviously. The crowd's booing the shit out of him, man. Like straight away, you don't even have to say anything. He's in a bit more of like a flashy clothes. He's got like fur. He's got like a fur collar jacket on. From that point, I already knew where we was going. So yeah, the crowd's booing Guevara, and Guevara recognizes it and grabs the mic and kind of says he loves this. He's like, I love it. He's like, I love being a champion. I love that my girlfriend's hotter than yours, or whatever it is that he said. And but he still appreciates the fans that pop for him. Then he's interrupted by Scorpio Sky, who, like he was saying earlier, challenged Guevara for the rematch for the TNT Championship. He says, what was the line that he said? I can't remember what it was, but basically he said that Sammy Guevara sucks, or whatever it is that he said. Guevara was about to reply to him.
Look at the chat, man. Just kicking the shit out of Sammy Guevara.
It's so aggressive. I get it though, because he does have like that kind of, he has a personality that probably suits a heel more, in the fact like he can really tap into those like characteristics that really get under your skin.
Let's be fair, there are real reasons to dislike him. We're like, I get it. I very much understand it. So yeah, it's just interesting, man. This feels like a shift. Not a shift. A lot of people never like Sammy Guevara, but like the crowd, wow.
Yeah, the thing with Sammy for me as well is like, it's one of the worries I had. Like, I wouldn't even class it that much of a big worry, because my fandom isn't made or broken on Sammy Guevara's appearances. But it's one of the somewhat worries I had when over the past like month or so, when people say Sammy needs to turn heel, and it was just like, I haven't really seen too much to suggest that like that would be right for him right now, other than the fact that he gets booed. But in terms of it actually producing good television, so it's like him doing heel shtick as promo. It just like So obviously, my favorite part of the whole segment was when Ethan Page just fucking seething at the mouth, just screaming at him.
Did you know that was the big takeaway from this segment? Was when Ethan grabbed the mic, the place came up because they're starting to connect with Ethan. As
he does that a lot.
Yeah,
he does that a lot.
The audience is now seeing him as the guy that says what they're thinking.
Yeah,
and that's really interesting, because I think we all agree. I love Ethan Page. He's a heel. Man, absolute core. That guy's a heel, but he's getting over. That was the main thing in the segment. Other than that, I didn't think it was terrible or anything. They've done much worse segments with Dan Lambert. I mean, this wasn't even in the bottom 10 Dan Lambert segments. I mean,
oh no way. It wasn't even.
No, it was fine, right? It's tough. It's hard to get into. I don't know.
There was rough moments, but Ethan Page definitely made it a lot better.
Yeah.
He's just one of those guys. Like I can't get into. Like something about his face. Like
I'll definitely hear that. He calls all stupid faces and
bro. I don't care about you. I don't care about your girl. Like I think y'all both ugly. Like you know what I mean? Like it's just like you know what I mean? Like it's like somebody said like like everybody calls Sammy Guevara a pillar. It's like he gonna be the one that break the foundation. Like. Wow.
Yeah, man. It's like Ethan Page literally dropped that in a promo, didn't he? And it's just like you said, when Ethan Page gets on the mic, people come up for him, man. And I've seen he's done that a few times in AEW, and where it's like, I wouldn't say he saved the segment, but he can get a crowd that isn't coming up to come up for him with just mic power. Like I think he absolutely annihilated a Watt chant a few months ago. They tried it and he just went off on one. And then
he's one of these guys,
killed it dead.
And I love these because these guys are the ones that make it interesting to talk about. If we just made his scouting report and listed his skills, his skill set, his statistics, whatever, he doesn't jump off the page even. Like he's a very good promo. He's a good wrestler, but he's not like this explosive, can't miss prospect. But you watch Ethan Page, he's very, very good at what he does. And if you watch his matches, the audience is more into it when it ends than when they went into it. His promos do the same as you just laid out. He's a guy that needs an opportunity. Lest we forget, the one real program he got in AEW was with Darby, and they they nailed it. That program was fabulous with him and Darby. So he needs more opportunities. Ethan's really slept on as a guy that can be a player in that company. I'm not saying a main event guy, but he can be an upper mid-card guy that you go to. He's got a lot to offer. So
I think he
Hopefully,
can be a
yeah.
main eventer, to be honest.
He may be. Yeah,
I think
maybe.
he's got the talent and potential to do it. It's just
Yeah.
whether he gets the opportunities to on this all-time roster.
Yeah.
Because man, like I'm a big promo guy.
Mhm.
As much as we all love big, long,
Yeah.
great matches and all this other stuff, it's like I love me a good promo guy.
Yeah.
Ethan Page, when he grabbed the mic, it's just different, man. Like I said, these guys who can turn a segment around, like that's something special to have, man. Those are the guys who are quick thinking on the feet. They've got good timing on the delivery of words and all that sort of good stuff. He's just a really good television wrestler,
Great.
Ethan Page.
I think if he had stayed in Impact, I think a feud with him and Josh Alexander for the world title probably would have, like, you know what I mean? Obviously, what they're doing with Moose and everything is like, all right, cool. But a feud between Page and Alexander with their history, I think that would have been a money feud for Impact.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
I think we're gonna get, and this is a completely loose guess, but I think the end game here will be that Scorp is the babyface feuding with a heel Ethan and Dan Lambert. I think that's where we're going.
I like
that a lot as well.
I think it could be really good. My main concern would be what we just touched on, which is that the crowd picks Ethan. Because then you're in a position where you have to flip Scorpio again. That worries me a little bit. But I trust him. He's a great heel.
I think that for Scorpio Sky, like, to me, Scorpio is a baby face's, like, he just has that money in him. Yeah. And when you see the flashes of brilliance that he does show on AEW, like the idea of him going against Ethan Page and Dan Lambert, probably doing a SCU reunion type match. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it just works. I just need him to get away from Sammy Guevara. Like, that's all I need.
Yeah, he needs he needs to wrestle on TV too. That's we've talked about it simple enough, but Scorp needs matches. He doesn't get out there enough and wrestle. It's a shame. Carry on. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So House of Black promo. It was a House of Black promo, man. Like, I think the takeaway was that next week the sun dies. So do with that what you will.
Sorry to hear that.
Moving on. Brit Baker defeated Daniel Camella. So, I don't think Tony Khan listened to your pitch yesterday, Joe.
Based on that promo, he should have, pal.
Wow. Get in there.
Yeah.
So they had a match. It was fine. And the funniest thing about the Baker promo was the first thing she said was like, finally a woman who can cut a promo. Then proceeded to cut a promo that was, got a bit rough at times. So that takeaway from it popped me the most, I think. But if we are gonna talk about the content of what she actually said, she cut promos on, was it Tony Storm, Jade Cargill, and someone else? Someone help me. Ruby.
She keeps running away. And the crowd was like, yep. They just sat there and it was really... Listen, man.
It threw her off in a delivery as well.
Brother, here's the deal. We're 135 deep. I'm not doing it now. There's a conversation we had about Brit Baker.
Absolutely.
And I think we're all going to have it one day. We may find one person to fire back and retort our take, but I think there is I think there's a lot of evidence that, Brit ain't it right now, man. And this was a real one to file in that evidence case. I don't know. It's tough.
This popped me because she was obviously she just had a match and it was the first match back in a minute. Yeah, she was out of breath and it sounded like one of those Jay White promos at the end of the fucking New Japan show when he's just like, it was it got tough.
I don't know, man.
It got tough. I think it was the main event next. Well, I think it was all the crazy announcements for the main event. So yeah, Darby Allin defeated Andrade in a coffin match. It kind of felt like a street fight that turned into a coffin match later on. We got some crazy Sting stuff. I don't know how he does it. It worries me, but I pop. So, you get what you get.
I need a Sting World Title match this year.
Oh shit!
I want that. I need that.
He would go for it. He would go for it. Like he'd be like, right, let's structure this match.
It'd have to be. It had to be if Punk wins the belt. Hangman hits too hard. Hangman lights dudes up. That would be bad news for poor Sting.
Sting would have a set flashback.
Yeah. Yes. I'm not against it. Sting, that was incredible. He's part in this. I think overall the match was fun, right? But
definitely.
It wasn't quite what Darby and Ethan produced. That felt like a blood feud. This was more like a fun brawl, and it was more of the same that they've done in the multi. I thought it was a really fun TV main event. I think they run out of time at the end.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Yeah, it was like another beat at the finish, right? Yeah.
Yeah. If you listen, I was listening to it on Fight, but you heard the referee.
Right, yeah.
I think he said 60 seconds. You heard the 60-second call, and it was like they were nowhere near the finish, and they just put it together. And I didn't think the finish made Andrade look very great either. But you get what you get, man. The TV, brother. It's TV. TV, man. So yeah, that was Dynamite, man.
Mm-hmm.
That was Dynamite.
It was a good show.
What do you think of it as a whole? As a whole, what would you rate it out of 10? Stealing and Late Night Green, gimme.
I give it a 6.
A 6?
Yeah, I give it a 6.
I'm higher. I'm in the I'd say 8. As I said last night, I've rewatched it. I'm at an 8. I think the quality of the show is really strong, but I completely get that the flaws are evident. Now, this is something that you touched on earlier, Mike, so I'll piggyback because I think we're kind of similar in this regard. I think the show has real issues in terms of booking, format, structure, formula, all that stuff. I just think there's so many good wrestlers on it that I consistently think it's like it clears the floor of a 7. That's just me. There's stuff that if you could very logically lay out to me as a flaw, but I just think there was a lot of good on here, man. I don't know. There was too much good for me to go lower than like a high 7, low 8. So that's where I'm at.
I'm cynical, so
that's fine. That's fine. I get it. This is the thing. We agreed on almost every segment, right? It's just when you put it all together, we saw it slightly differently. It's fine.
Yeah. I'm at about. I could just say 7 just to be in the middle, but I think I'm more. I'll give it 6.5.
Now, here's the thing with that. Here's my question: how much of your issue is Danhausen related?
That is true.
Honestly,
yeah,
you've just made it a 6.
Yeah, well,
because I forgot. Even though we just talked about it, I blocked it out of my memory.
The crazy thing is that was the best segment on the show.
Oh no!
Agreed.
Listen, I don't want to have to leave again. I'm trying to
listen to the people, brother. Listen to the people.
Yo, so is it possible that we can get a Danhausen interview on this show eventually?
I mean,
the streets need it.
Ask Joe.
Don't ask me about any kind of interview of a professional wrestler. That would be a scene.
So yeah, that wraps up Dynamite for the day. In terms of news, we did kind of go over the things that I wanted to touch on. So like Kenny Omega, we talked about him and what Meltzer said about him not being back for the May pay-per-view. So we've done our Kenny Omega talk. I did want to mention the Maria Kanellis, Tony Khan conversations, but we've been over that too. Tony Khan's talking about bots again, Joe. Scotland. Why is he doing this? Why is he still doing this?
Is it rules? It's hilarious. Imagine making this big of a deal. He said that he had experts.
Like,
what? It's just wait. You know what I don't get? Yeah, I don't get how he finds the time to do the things that we know that he does anyway, like run AEW, run Fulham Football Club, run Jackson Jaguars, like the involvement that he has in all those things. Where is this man finding time? Come on.
We absolutely know where he's finding the time at. We absolutely know. my man is enjoying a Friday night with a rolled $1 bill. Like that's where he's finding the time, because it explains why he's actively searching for anti-AEW bots, because like normal people don't do that. You know what I mean? Like
we'll never be able to relate, I don't think. But
I don't want to.
It's
He said the exact quote. He's like, he explained the whole thing, and then he goes, "But you know, I have experts. It's too sophisticated for me to explain right now." Like, it's incredible. I mean, I get it's completely lame, but it's fucking awesome. Also, it pops me. I can't lie. Like him firing that tweet off for no reason beyond just to like make it clear to himself was insane. No one asked.
It was
incredible.
That's probably why he tweets, so he doesn't forget things.
Yeah.
like, oh, it is Friday. Rampage is tonight. All right.
Imagine like he wakes up on a Wednesday morning and is like, "Oh my god, I booked Suzuki and Joe."
So, in something that I'm sure Joe is well aware of, it was also said by Dave on the Observer Radio earlier that a lot of people were talking about Roman Reigns missing this next pay-per-view. Apparently he's not. He's in the main event, even though he's not really got any angles set up, except for what he done with Shinsuke a few weeks ago, which didn't really feel... It just felt like Shinsuke was getting owned, to be honest. Do you think they're going to go with Shinsuke for the pay-per-view match? What do you think they're going to do here?
I hope not. And that's not even a knock on Nakamura. It's just like you said, like, just that if that was the setup, it didn't do anything for me. It didn't make Shinsuke look any strong. Didn't really make him look like a world title challenger. You know what I mean? Like I would be
owned.
Yeah,
he got owned. Like, he went out there and just got owned. Like,
but no,
it's fascinating.
And I think, like to me, the world champion doesn't need to wrestle every pay-per-view, especially in WWE's canon.
Yeah.
Like, he could really take a month off.
For real.
I have to say, I think Dave had this take, to be clear, so I don't think I'm saying anything novel, but I'm increasingly of the belief that they actually maybe should have just gone straight to Cody. And I know that all the reasons not to, and hot-shotting and like, brother, like, if he wrestles Shinsuke, who in the world is buying Shinsuke to win that match? Like, I don't know, man. It's like, it's really difficult because I enjoy Roman. I don't watch it closely enough to get as bored as I do. But like,
real quick.
But it's hard. It's hard to kind of believable contenders. Everyone knows that it's going like in a big. So when you do like a B pay-per-view Shinsuke feud, it's like, well, who
this is the thing, man. So like with Cody, like if they did jump straight into it, like I guess some people could call it hot shotting, but when you look at Roman Reigns' current title reign, it kind of feels like it's time for someone to come in and win the belt. And Cody Rhodes has came in at the perfect time to do this, because
and
you don't want it. You don't want too many of these Shinsuke feuds if this is where it's going to go, because no one's going to buy into this. Like, I know you shouldn't. Make the call before anything happens, but no one's going to buy into this shit, man. Then after Shinsuke, who you got then?
Well, my thing too is like, if you do the Cody match, doesn't have to be a one-off. Like you could easily do like because Cody, we know what his influences are. He's going to just do his version of his dad's NWA title matches, which is hilarious and awesome. I love it. But like, you could easily have Roman escape that first title match with Cody, and then he goes again, and you do like, he wins it on the third, whatever it may be. You've got like 28 stadium shows coming up, brother. Find a place for it. I don't know.
The thing about the Cody Roman Reigns match, and like I said, like the timing is SummerSlam is, if I'm not mistaken, July 30th, right?
Yeah.
So obviously they're probably setting up. That's when they'll probably do Roman and Cody. But then you have the UK, the Cardiff show a month later, right? Do you say Cody beats Roman? Do you do that rematch at Cardiff? Or do you do, you know what I mean? Or do you do Roman and Drew? I feel like the possibility of a a series between Roman and Cody is kind of disruptive if you're trying to appease to the hometown or the UK pay-per-view with having like a major UK talent in the main event.
I could be completely off base. I just do not know. If I can't see Cody beating Roman Reigns, and like that is one of those things that I'll believe it when I see it. I know that sounds dumb, but like after all of this time as champ, are they really gonna have Cody be the guy that takes that belt off him? I hope so. I think it'd be awesome, but like I don't know, man. I don't know if they're gonna do it. I really don't.
I feel like I've watched enough TV, WWE TV, sorry, to they've hinted at it so much, man. Like already, he's cut like 3 promos. It's been the subject of all of them. Seth Rollins uses it as a dig towards him. I think even the Miz did. Like that's his. It has like if it doesn't end with him winning the WWE Championship, at least maybe not the Universal Double Champ, but even if it's what about something. This may be a bit too far into the future because Cody's got so much juice at the moment. But say if Drew beats Roman in the UK for the WWE Championship, it'd make it a bit awkward because it would be face versus face. But then you could have Cody take the belt off Drew, because the story's not about Roman; it's about the belt. So I don't know.
Have we considered doing none of this and having Bobby Lashley beat Roman Reigns in about 4 minutes, payback, or some other very funny event name that we have all forgotten? Can we do that instead? Have you considered that?
If I was booking it, it would have been the first thing I would have done.
Yeah. Spear to the kidneys.
Absolutely. That's
Spear to the kidneys was epic stuff. It's the way he toppled. He didn't fall, he toppled.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Yeah, this Lashley stuff's weird, man, because obviously he's not with MVP anymore. Like I know that your pitch was, it was more of a bit, but yeah, this Lashley stuff's weird at the moment, man. Like where he finds himself. Obviously, they're trying to do something with Omos, and I get that because he's like 7'5" or whatever the fuck he is. But taking MVP away from Lashley and giving him to Omos is a bit of a, it's a choice. One of the things I was hoping for was it was never really that likely. It was as fantasy booking as it gets. But I thought it would have been a good opportunity to bring Diamond Mine up. So you could have Lashley be what Roddy is in Diamond Mine, and just have Roddy kind of step down a little bit. So there's like he's the secondary single star. You've got the tag team and you've got Lashley. Bivens is the mouthpiece. I would have loved it, you know what I mean?
Bivens with Bobby.
Bivens and MVP going back and forth at each other. That's good TV for me. But,
I do love that idea. What I would have done is, since they're kind of already moving in that direction, I would have had MVP stay with Lashley and LA Knight be Omos's manager. Because if they're already going that route with LA Knight and like his whole agency with Face, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could have just done it with Omos. You know what I mean?
Actually, would have made a lot of sense. You're right. Yeah, I don't know. I think Bobby's going to be kind of slotted in that, like, you can always heat him up for a title program, but he'll mostly kind of exist as a babyface that you protect, but you don't push. Like he'll be in that kind of middle ground, which is Harold's Bobby now. I get it, I understand, but yeah, when he hit that spear to the kidneys, brother, I thought we were running wild. I thought he was going to be the world heavyweight champion.
It really was. That match delivered in so many different areas that you shouldn't have. Like, it'd be funny though if someone didn't pay attention to it, who's watching this now, and went back and watched it and was expecting some 4-star.
It has like a 3 on Cage Match. 3 or a 4.
It's a special match, man, because if you're into a certain type of thing, that match is perfect.
I agree. Masterpiece in my view.
Just 2 huge black dudes kicking the shit out of each other, man. Look, what? Come on.
Look, that's my type of carry on right there.
That's what I'm talking about, man.
The first 2 minutes when Bobby's like selling on the ropes and stuff, and it's like a 1980s WWF match. Oh, it rules. Incredible.
Incredible. But I think, yeah, unless there's any big news stories that have popped up while we've been streaming, which luckily I don't think there has been.
Yeah.
I think we're pretty much covered for the past day or so, you know.
There you go.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, that was the first episode of the WrestlePurists podcast. Make sure you like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow us on Twitter at WrestlePurists. Follow myself at Montel WP. Follow Scotland at Poetic Scotland. Is that right?
Correct.
And at Joel Hulbert at Late Night Green. Like I said, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we should be back here tomorrow if all goes well. So we'll see you then and enjoy the outro.